That's Kristi.
And that's Leslie.
And we're going indie.
Okay, Leslie, this is the year you're going to launch your first book, your debut year. Are you excited?
Yes.
So I am going to tell you, do it right from the beginning.
Well, that's what
so
we're
that you're
trying to
not
do.
like me and trying to scramble later. And what I'm talking about is tracking money.
Okay, wait. I just want to say this is assuming that I'm going to have some income.
Well, see, even if you don't have income, you will have expenses.
Oh, true.
So you need to set up everything correctly now from the beginning, and so that you're not like me and like fixing it as you go, because I didn't do it right. So this episode is going to be a do as I say, not as I do.
Hey, I'm here for it.
So the big reason, and this is a lot of what we're going to say, we live in the US, okay? So I don't know what taxes are like in other countries. In the US, though, accurate tracking is super important for taxes.
That's the only reason I mean, yes, it would be nice probably to keep up with whether or not you're actually making money or not making money, or how much you're spending to produce a book. That would probably be nice information. Some people would like that, people that do the math, not me. But but really the only reason we care, is the taxes.
So do know what you can claim as an author on your taxes, which is actually a lot. There's actually a lot of things you can claim on your taxes. But understanding what those things are and what categories they fall in will help you set up your tracking system correctly. Because like software licenses fall under one category, all of your professional or organization memberships, that's a different category. Your postage is in there, anything you spend on advertising. If you buy a book specifically to study it, you can count that. Yes. Anything like that can be used. And there are home office deductions you can take as well because you work from your home office. I just do a standard based on the size of my home office. I just take the standard based on the size because it's very complicated. But if you really want to get into tracking like a percentage of your utilities and everything, have at it. But I just like take the size of my office and there's a standard based on size. But you've got to keep track of all of that in addition to what you've made. And then there's a whole other layer of sales tax if you sell directly. So accurate financial tracking is your friend. I'm telling you now.
What is your tool for tracking? Like, where do you put this information?
So I just use a spreadsheet because while it's really important, it's really not that difficult.
Right.
I mean, like, you don't have that many expenses. Like you've got, your website that comes up, once a year, your newsletter program, like subscriptions like that you have. That's the biggest things. And like you pay your editor, that's like a one-time thing. Like it's not like your household expenses where you're like, oh my goodness, I brought groceries and this bill came in and I had to pay cable. Like all of that doesn't necessarily, you don't have to keep track of that, but do keep track of, your internet and your cell phone portions of that you get to claim. So make sure you're tracking that too. But the biggest thing is like, you just need a record. So I just keep it in a spreadsheet. It's not that complicated. You don't need a big fancy program. It's not that fancy. But I will also say one of the biggest changes that I made a few years ago that was super, super, super helpful is I got a separate credit card. Now, I did not get a business credit card because even if you have like an LLC or, you make a sole proprietorship and it's just you, like that's really still just you. Like even on my taxes, like, yes, I have an LLC, but it just goes on my personal taxes. I don't do separate business taxes. If you are making enough that you don't have an LLC, you've got like an S corp and you're paying yourself a salary and everything. One, you need to be a guest on this show,
Yes.
and two, um, just ask your accountant. Okay,
Yeah, at some point
this
you
is
get an
not for you.
accountant. Just yeah, right.
This is for people who are not making. I think you have to. I think my accountant once said, unless you're making more than like 60,000 a year from just your writing, it's not worth it to look into an S corp. So, you know, um, that's most of us are under that.
So
um,
yeah, so you're just doing a sole proprietorship, and that's like
just sole
it. And
proprietorship LLC, and it just goes on your personal taxes. And I rambled way too long about that, but one of the most important things that I did was I got a separate credit card. It's a personal credit card, but I use it only for writing expenses. And that made my accounting so much easier.
right, no, it makes sense.
Yes.
What about like
So
other separate accounts?
yes, doing separate accounts. At the moment, I don't have a completely separate bank account. Um, but which I should, but I don't. But having a separate bank account, credit card, Venmo, Cash App, like if you can separate all those, it's going to make your life a lot easier.
Right, right. Okay, so let's see. Well, gosh, I think we've covered most of the things we wanted to talk about. And I was going to ask you what you said sales tax, but I think we might. I don't know. When you do the sales tax, how do you even know what it is for each state? Or each state's different, I think, but I
Each
don't
state
really.
is different. Each state is different. So you have to look it up because some states, like if you're selling below a certain threshold, they're like, I don't care. Just don't tell us. You know, like if it's
Right,
like below $600 in sales for a month, they're like, whatever, doesn't matter. Um, Other states, like if you do an event like in Georgia, there's a form where if you do an event, you can just do that event sales tax. You don't have to go get your ID and all that stuff. You don't have to do all of that things. You can just do a form. Um, so that varies a lot by state.
okay.
So which is why a lot of authors either don't do direct sales or they'll do their direct sales through like Etsy or something so that somebody else is handling the tax issues. So
So, like,
that's something to
does
consider
Amazon
before you get into direct sales.
handle those also the tax
Yes.
issues? Amazon.
Yes. It's only if you have like your own personal store, like if you have a PayHip or a Spot or a Shopify store, like if you've got one of those, you got to handle your own taxes. Or if you're doing in-person events. But there
Right.
are also companies who will help you handle your in-person event taxes too. But sales tax is a whole different ballgame. We're not talking about that today. This is your
So I'm going
income
to ask.
tax
Yeah.
stuff.
On the income thing, when you sell through Amazon or Etsy or whoever, did those companies send you like an income, like how much you made statement?
You can download it from
Mhm.
you can download an end of year report. But like I get all my reports at the end of the month and you get your money from like so many different things. Cause like even from when you get your KDP reports from the Zon, like you get one from the US and one from Europe and one from like you get all these different reports and they all come to your email so you can just kind of throw them in a folder and look at them later or look at them when you're ready to do your finances. Speaking of email, this is my other really big tip trick. Whenever you have a receipt, take a picture of it and email it to yourself so that you don't have to keep track of them and they're all in one place.
Yeah, and you know, even better than that is that a lot of receipts, the print, it's disappearing ink, that vanishing ink
Yes.
stuff. So you want to take a
Yes.
picture because if you don't take a picture, it's going to be gone.
And also write on the receipt what it is. So like if you went to dinner, write on the receipt which other authors you went to dinner with and what was the business talk. Because if you're claiming it as a business meal, you need to be able to justify, yes, business stuff happened here. So, write on the receipt who else was there. So if Leslie and I go and we work on Go Indie Girls stuff, over a hamburger. Like on that receipt, I'm going to write Leslie Devote, Go Indie Girls Planning, something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
those are my tricks and tips to you for you to start doing them now at the beginning.
Yeah, no,
So
even
you're
as
not
you're
figuring
talking,
it
I'm
out
thinking,
later.
well, I mean, and there's things I've spent money on over the years because I just wasn't there yet. I didn't keep track as well as I should have. I do keep track a little bit, but now I'm thinking like this year, starting today, I'm going to start like being like, if I pay anything else, I'm going to put it in a spreadsheet right then. And not
Absolutely.
like wait, not try to figure it out later, not, whatever. I'm going to put it right away in the spreadsheet so that I have that. So yay. Thanks for the great tips.
Absolutely. So if you have financial tricks and tips for us that obviously I'm still figuring it out and Leslie's getting started. So if you've got any like, hey, I learned this, you should do this, drop it in the comments and let's help each other.
Yay. Thank you.